nothing I can say to that.
So, I feel like I was in denial for a really long time when it came to my addiction. There was no way that you were going to have me admit that I needed any kind of help. I mean, basically, it was like I could handle it, I can handle it, I can handle it, until, it was evident that I couldn't handle it because I was in jail with a defects case and all of these 7 felonies and whatnot.
Sure, I mean, I got dragged into many circumstances and situations due to my denial. I don't need rehab. You need rehab because you're talking to me about it. My dad told me, you're going to jail. You're going to die. If you get lucky, you're going to jail. And denial, until I got incarcerated, which so happens to be the day I started to change my life for the better.
And I definitely feel like jail is, for a lot of people, they say, when you get pulled over, it's like divine intervention or like a rescue mission.
Maybe not in that exact moment, but shortly following after,
right.
Reflecting.
Right. I mean, this last time anyway, like all the other times, it was like I was able to get out of it, you know what I mean? And then this last time, it was like when they put me on that, intense felony probation, and they said, you have to pass a drug test every day for the next 4 years. I was like, damn, I don't know how to do that. And that was my wake up call that something, had to happen, that I did have a problem.
Yeah, same thing for me. Like, when I realized I had a problem, it was like on the verge of too late, shy of death. It was incarceration, it was bond set high, it was bond reduction revoked, it was lay down for a little bit longer or take all these contingencies for my probation, all these things to do, tasks to complete, and I couldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of that.
I was so terrified when they told me that I had to be on probation. I literally went and checked myself into a sober living because I did not want to have to face the probation officer. Like, I think I was out of jail for like 4 days and I was already getting high again. Knowing that I had to see the probation officer, knowing I was going to get drug tested, like, I couldn't stop. It was the craziest thing. And then I tried to wait, schedule it like 4 days or whatever, and I still popped dirty on that first drug screen. And that was when I kind of decided, like, I need to go into treatment, and that's what I did, was I went into sober living.
Right, jail was my treatment. Don't get me wrong, like, I hit the step meetings and ventured off into other things, but like the 70 days, 69 days in jail gave me enough clarity for the first time ever to walk back into the life that I meticulously constructed that was falling apart in every aspect. There was no denying it at that point when I had walked back in and seen the life that I created. Like, literally, it was like, I'm very grateful for it. I'm not discouraging anyone that had the same type of setup as I did, but like, it was my buddy's mom's room, and they had like some stuff in there that they were like sort of kind of saving, might go to yard sale, and there was like enough for the bed, no box spring. It was pretty sad, actually. I'm thankful for it. I'm grateful for it. I started from the bottom, now I'm here, kind of thing. I was stuck in the redundancy of get money, call the connect, wait on the connect, scheme, steal, lie, manipulate, maneuver maliciously. It was pretty bad. Carpet surfing. I was telling my wife Jamie here that I don't miss them days. Like, we could sort of kind of laugh about it now because we both she wasn't the biggest surfer. She was in a previous relationship and he used to hang 10. And then I picked up carpet surfing, which is, basically going through the rug because you left a speck of what may or might not be what you think it is. Just really glad I don't have to live like that no more.
Yeah.
Talk about some weird denial. Is that a piece of coke that I dropped, or isn't it?
No, I was a window peeper. I wasn't a carpet surfer. So I remember the most epic thing that ever happened was me peeping out the window, and my neighbor was peeping out his window back at me. And that was like the best. I basically like fell on the floor like, oh my God, they saw me. Like, it's like, there is no denying that. Like, my house was like a crack house. Like, it was just no denying it.
Yeah, you're peeping, they're peeping, we're peeping.
Yeah. Yeah, like how many times does the electric company come to like cut the electricity off and your friends wire it back together? Like, yeah. I remember we had abandoned the house for like a little while, and when we like came back a couple months later, like we found like some person's like clothes, like people had been like living in our house or whatever, like our abandoned house. It was actually my mom's, my poor mother. And it was just crazy. But this last time that I went to jail was like, it was like supernatural. I dreamed about it. Like, I dreamed about it. I dreamed about the girl who was in the cell with me. I dreamed about everything. Like, it was so crazy. And when the last time I went to jail was exactly duplicate to the first time I went to jail. So I call this like the sign of Jonah. It's like the first time I went to jail, I went for 20 days. I was on like the first floor in like C-Pod, like exactly. Second time I went to jail was for 20 days on the first floor on the C-Pod, on the floor, in a boat. We call them boats. And it was crazy. Even the same people were there. There was this girl, and I will never forget this. It was the most mind-blowing thing to me. This girl sitting at a table, and she looked at me, and she's like, oh, I remember you were your Cookie's friend. And I was like, you said that to me last time we were here. Same exact thing. Like, same people, same thing. And I dreamed about it. It was definitely supernatural.
Yeah, sometimes you'll hear me in some previous videos of ours talk about the time capsule effect. You know, it's like you went back in time and you just repeated it. I've sometimes found in the early stages of my recovery the same thing was actually applicable on the outside. So like, I haven't seen you in 2 or 3 months, and I'm clean. I'm trying to do better things, and you walk back into the same spot or situation, the same atmosphere, environment that you just came out of, and everything's still the same. So then I take it one step further than that, and I went a year or two into my sobriety, a year or two in my recovery, and then I would go back to somewhere I ain't been in a year, and they're saying the same things that they were saying the year before, like. At this time, I'm like, bro, you're saying the same thing in 2018 as you said in 2016. Nothing has changed. Everything has remained the same, which is, something that I think can really, really hinder one's recovery or well-being, success, and achievement of dreams and goals is not doing anything. Is sitting still. Like, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody came to save me. Now, did God put people at meetings and in my path? For sure. But nobody in a cape or on a flying carpet came and beat on my door, grabbed me by the neck and said, come on, I'm going to make you all better. Right? Like, it's New Year's. I need to get myself in the gym because I put on some really good recovery weight in 2022. Nobody's going to beat on my door and pay for my Uber for me to go to the gym. If I don't get up, and if I don't have the desire, the dedication, but most importantly, the discipline that it takes to get up like you do, super early, eat the same thing, and we off to the gym. But then it's a routine, but then it's a habit. So Now the byproduct of it is increased metabolism, better skin because you're sweating out your it goes on and on and on. But that time capsule effect can really jam you up. I mean, I had a conversation with a young man not that long ago, and I wanted to compare early January to late December to see if there was much done in between. And some people excel, and some people, I think, live in that comfortable state that, well, I already made it here. Well, it's really not that bad. I don't really have a lot, but it's not like I'm hurting,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely coming out, when you are coming into recovery, like having like goals, because you don't want to be like those people. Like, I can hear the same people sitting in the same circle talking about like, oh, you know that chick over here, da, 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 and oh, this one did this, and oh, this one's over here snitching, and oh, this one's over here doing this, like, and it's like, are you still talking about that same girl for the 3 years? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, the same people, they're doing the same thing, they're talking about the same thing. They're not going anywhere with their life. Like, you've got to, if you want to do something different, like, you've got to do something different. They say when you come into recovery, you have to change one thing, and that is everything.
Right.
Everything. So everything that you did before, like, you have to tweak. And we're not saying like you can't be the same person, but you the person that you were got you where you were. So
yeah, definitely the person that did all the bad decisions and all the boohoo, the poor me, the why me, you know, just led me to the streets, and then eventually led me to the jail cell. You know, almost led me to the coffin, led my brother to the coffin, led a bunch of my friends to Fed time on trafficking charges.
yeah, definitely. Like, I think it took me probably about 30 days, because when I first came into recovery, I didn't come into recovery because I wanted to like change my life and do good. I came out of a point of like pride and ego. I'm gonna show my mom. I'm gonna take my kids back, and she's never gonna see us again.
Right.
And I'm gonna get my apartment.
I'm doing nothing for myself
and get this job. Right. I'm just trying to hurt people. Like, I'm still living in like resentment and anger. And it took about 30 days in recovery for me to finally, like, the light bulb went off, and I said, oh shit, like, I'm the one who jacked up my life. Right. I did this. I'm the one who made the mistakes. I'm the reason that I don't have custody of my children. I'm the reason that I went to jail. I'm the reason that I don't have a place to live. It's my fault. I'm the one who messed everything up. And coming to that realization that it was your fault is a really hard place to come from, because then you have to go into acceptance. Yes, I screwed up, but now what? How do we move forward? How do we not stay stuck in self-pity? How do we not stay stuck in the past? How do we move forward, and how do we forgive ourselves and move on without that shame and stigma that the enemy is going to keep trying to throw at you?
Oh yeah, I mean, even now, I mean, I'm approaching my 7-year mark, and he still throws it at me all the time. But it's not necessarily in reference to, I just want to go out and get high. Typically, it's just to slow me down, deter me, keep me out of my word, make me think that I'm less than, self-value, self-worth. You know, it's an ongoing battle. I don't care whether you're coming up on 7 years or you got about 7 seconds, and this is the first video you chose to watch. And it's always going to be something that needs to be continued. You know, my boss man was really proud of me in the AC business because I would continue my education. Well, recovery is a continuance of one's education. You know, just because you received a certificate of completion from a rehabilitation center, we're super proud of you, but that's just the beginning. You made a major milestone, but don't make that your end result, because you have to continuously work some program of recovery, whether that be spiritual, whether that be the multitude of different avenues and resources that are out there for recovery group meetings, etc. But if you're just going to sit there, the chances of it leading to decay are increased significantly.
Right. And for me, like, having that, you know, that spiritual awakening, building that relationship with God. And, you know, I couldn't build that relationship with God to have that spiritual awakening until I got myself out of the way. So for me, like, being able to even, like, you know, for me, like, steps, that was my pathway, the 12 steps, right? So it's like, number one, like, okay, admit that you're powerless over drugs and alcohol. Well, yeah, no shit. Like, that's pretty evident. And that your life is unmanageable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, before you're ready for the first step, you look at it, you're like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
No, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
I got 6 broken teeth wearing the same underwear from 3 days ago, and I think I'm going to wait just a little bit. Like, the first time I read them steps in detox in Southwest Florida, I'm like, what is this? But then once you get a little bit of time under your belt, work a program, get more understanding to how you function, this disease functions, just everything, it's a little bit more enlightening and a little bit less scary.
Right. And then, going on with that, even having like a belief, it says, in step 2, like we came to believe that we could be healed by a power greater than us, right? We came to believe that there was someone or something, right? Like we continually like came to believe. And then in step 3, like we made a decision. So I'm going to make a decision to turn my will and my life, my thoughts and my actions over to the care of God. And that's like a daily thing. Like, how do you do that? How do you turn your thoughts and your actions and your will and your life over to the care of God every day? For me, it started with little things like, okay, God, I have this little situation. It's a small matter. I don't know what to do, but I'm going to put it in your hands. I'm literally taking it off of my chest and I'm handing it to you, and you keep it, and I'm not taking it back. And literally see what happens. And I'm going to test you, God, and I'm going to see what you do with it. And it was good. And then I did that continually. Okay, I'm going to give you something a little bit bigger and see what you do with this. Okay, let me give you something a little bit bigger. And that created the trust factor, right? Like, okay, maybe I can trust you because I'm giving you these things and you seem to be working them out, and I'm not putting my hands on them, because we know when I put my hands on things, what happens? They get all screwed up, right? So, going into that and learning that, and then in my working my 4th and 5th step, which is was my inventory, right? So I had to get out all my resentments and put out notebook of 1,000 resentments, 1,000 people, places, values, things that I resented. And then I had to look at my part in them. How do you look at your part in a resentment, from when you were, younger, from when you were a kid, or from when you were sick in your disease? Like, how can you, it takes a lot to really be able to look at that honestly and see your part in it. Like for me, I remember the hardest thing was when my sponsor said to me about this one man who, was trafficking me and keeping me. And she said, well, what was your part in it? And she said, well, were you honest with him? Were you honest with him every time he did something that you didn't like? Did you tell him, hey, I don't like that, don't do that? And I was like, no. And she's like, well, you were dishonest. That's your part. Were you trying to be a friend to him? Were you trying to be his friend? No. Well, then when you first started talking to him before you ended up getting in that situation, you acted like you wanted to be his friend because he had drugs. So what was your part in it? You know what I mean? Like, you put yourself in that situation, and it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, do you know what these people did to me? But you still have to take your part. And being able to look at my part in things, I was able to be humbled and say, like, okay, God, like, maybe I'm not perfect. Maybe I do need you to come into my heart and fix some things. And then, going through like my character defects of like, here's what they are, here's these things, and making a point to work on them, because we carry, our character defects with us from addiction into recovery. Wherever we go, there we are.